seconds for it to get to the recording part of the tape. This is Walter Langtry, and this is the second day of August in 1979. We are interviewing Mrs. Long Chinbing and Miss Sylvia Chinbing in connection with the history of the Chinese Presbyterian Church. Did I get it right?
No, it was a mission.
Yeah, it was right.
Before it became a church.
That's right. It was the mission, and you came. Who was the in charge of the mission when you came here, Miss Chinbing?
Miss Creevy.
Miss Creevy. Well, now that's good because you're the first one I've talked to. No, but you were the one that would remember Miss Creevy best, I expect. Yes. And where was the mission? Over on Orleans Street or on South Liberty?
South Liberty.
It was on South Liberty. Did you tell us a little about yourself? Where were you born?
In Atlantic City, New Jersey.
In Atlantic City. And then you came to New Orleans. Were you a little girl or were you grown?
No, after I married.
After you married, you came here. And Mr. Chinbing was what was his occupation?
He had a store.
He had
on Tulane. On Tulane.
Oh.
Near Alpine. And we lived on Alpine.
I see. And when did you? Well, how did you get involved with the mission? Did you just go there, or were you already Presbyterian, or what?
Yeah, I was Presbyterian.
You were Presbyterian.
From New York.
From New York.
But Miss Creevy visited all the ladies.
Oh yeah.
And taught them English. That's how I met her.
What year did you come to New Orleans?
Around 1910.
1910. You've been here good while. You've been here a good while, nearly 70 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's almost as long as I've been around. And then, how big was the mission? How many people were there in it? Do you remember?
I don't know. But Mr. William Friend would come on Saturday. And then later on, Miss Lois.
Yes.
Garrison.
Yes. Well, now I knew Miss Lois. This is where I came into the picture. Miss Garrison was at the mission when I came.
Now before Miss Creevy, I think it was Miss Radford. I didn't know her.
You did.
I just heard about it.
And
Mr. France was from the Canal Street Presbyterian Church.
yes, Mr. France.
And I came south, Mrs. T. South, but the Canal Church came to see me. So that's how my children all went to Canal Church. As on Canal and Durban at that time.
Yes, they were on, was it Canal and Durban? And then they moved out where they are now.
Yeah.
What's that street that Canal Street Church is
Now
on?
in Hennessy.
Hennessy.
They were temporarily housed, I think, before that time on Carrollton Avenue. Carrollton and Palmyra, I think, temporarily while the church was being built.
Is that right?
what
That's,
I heard.
well, Carrollton and Palmyra, that's
It's another church.
that's where the Carrollton Church is. No?
No, it's a
No, the Carrollton Church is on Panola.
That's the Church of Christ.
That's right.
And Church of Christ.
Uh-huh.
I'm born.
Well, there was another-
And Cleveland.
Yeah.
There was another Presbyterian church over in there too, and I didn't know just where it was. It was the Palmer Memorial, wasn't it?
No, that was on Lafayette.
Well, no, there was another one up there
In that neighborhood?
in that neighborhood, and it joined with the Carrollton Church when the Carrollton Church moved over from their old location and thereby to this location near Palmer Park. I was thinking they called it the Palmer Memorial, but it was out in that same neighborhood, and that merged with Carrollton when Carrollton moved from their old location. Can't even remember where it was, but close. But they moved over on Carrollton Avenue and merged with this. I think it was called Palmer Memorial or Palmer Park, maybe, and they made the present Carrollton Church. Well, so the mission was over there. So that's the second. There are two times the mission has been out in worshiping with another church. Once when they were over at the old Britannia Church, you remember, when they were building when they sold the Orleans Street property and built their present building. And then, but this is earlier than that. This must have been when they moved from South Liberty to, was that it?
Well, they weren't, I don't think they were worshiping together. It was,
No, they didn't
Mr.
worship
France
together.
had a lot of influence and a lot of interest in the Chinese church. Isn't that
Yeah,
correct?
Mr. France did. No, I was talking about this when they were at this Carrollton Avenue location.
But I thought
I
she
think that
meant
was the
that the
Canal.
Canal
That's
Street
the
Church
Canal
was
Church.
meeting there.
Oh, the Canal Street Church
Yeah.
was meeting.
Not the
Oh,
Chinese.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
First, it was only the mission
Uh-huh,
on Liberty.
on Liberty, and then they moved over to South Roman Street.
That's right.
No.
Just two locations. They've only been
Well, they've been
South
three
Liberty
places.
and Rome, and that's it. And then Britannia, temporarily. And
Yes.
Bienville.
And then over there, yeah. Oh, excuse me, I got mixed up on that. You said Mrs. Teasell was, did she teach in the mission?
No.
No?
She came occasionally.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't always go to mission. You see, because, well, I did always go. After having my children, Miss Creevy was very good. At that time, there were only 4 Chinese women here. I was one.
Uh-huh.
And every Wednesday, she would go to the women's home and teach them English.
Yes.
That's interesting. She went to the home to teach English to the
I
ladies.
went to the home and Lynn, they lived upstairs, so I knew them.
Then that would have been, Ms. Fawn G would have been one of the ladies. How about Mrs. Hughes' mother, Mrs. Fawn? Was she one of the ladies?
Yes. you
Ms.
did
Alfred
mention-
Hughes.
You did mention that Kitty's mother was one of the ladies. You will
Yeah.
recall.
Kitty's mother.
Do you remember the other lady?
I don't remember her name.
Well, that's great to get that information.
Did you say something about Boeing this
Yeah,
morning?
Boeing's mother.
Boeing's mother.
They had stores on Tulane.
Yeah. Wonderful to know that. Well, you've given us something there that's entirely new to me. That's great.
Oh, you wasn't here.
That's right.
That's right. But I never did hear anybody refer to that, and so that's interesting.
Oh, that's why Miss Phoebe, every week, one day, she would go to one home and teach English.
And another day would go to another home.
Yeah, I think now. And she lived upon Lafayette Square, I think, in the women's, Deborah Women's Home.
Deborah Women's Home or Deborah?
Exchange. The women's
Women's exchange, Christian
yeah.
women's
Christian women's
That
exchange.
moved down
Was that
to the
up on-
French Quarter then later.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
there's a
downtown.
women's Christian exchange by that title now, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's down in, you're right, it's in the French Quarter.
It's downtown now. I didn't know it was up on Lafayette Square. On. Just say yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Phoebe was so nice. Everything she would teach.
Yeah.
Of course, the women came from China and didn't speak English.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I think Mrs. Tissel's introduction to you was through letter. You recall at one point.
But they cannot.
It's now church. Mother was a Presbyterian in New York,
Yeah.
and someone from the church wrote to Canal, wrote to Miss Tissell when Mother moved, so that when Mother arrived, the Tissells visited Mother. So that is the connection with Canal Church.
Well, that type of communication of Presbyterians in San Francisco to the mission occurred in 1896, I think, when we had the first wedding with a lady that came from San Francisco and married one of the local men. So there was communication then from New York and the Presbyterian work here. That's interesting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, look how many women and children today.
It's hard for me to tell how many. There are a good many. Yeah, it's amazing how there's been a lot of people, there have been a lot of people moved into New Orleans
Oh, yeah.
in recent years.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in the 30s or 40s, there were just about 200 families.
I'm sure that was the
Oh, and Mr. William Fred would come to the mission on Sunday and talk.
Mr. Frank?
Mr. William
William
Frank.
Frank.
William.
Yes, okay.
And I think he was
He was
superintendent for about 40 years. They tell me that he was superintendent of the Sunday school.
Yeah.
Did you have much, were there many children coming to the Sunday school?
There was not many children. There were only 4 women.
4
And
women.
later on, that I had children.
Yeah.
First it was all men. And then later on, there were women. And then some women came to teach women. You remember me?
Oh, yes, that was Miss Lucy Smith when it was in the 30s. In the 1930s. Miss Lucy, yes. Miss Lucy Smith taught the ladies with Mother.
Which,
Ms. Chinbing, I think, served as sort of interpreter too. Is that it in teaching?
No, I didn't.
You did
I
the.
was having my son.
No, we're moving up to the 30s when you mentioned Miss Lucy Smith. Because I remember Miss Lucy Smith.
Yeah, I went upstairs.
Yes, that was on Roman Street.
On Roman.
She was very active. And
What church was she in?
I don't know. I never knew what church she belonged to.
Must have been Napoleon.
I do know that
Napoleon?
from what I recall, the most active participants were people from Napoleon, Britannia, and Carrollton. That they supplied most of the teachers
In
during
the
the 30s
30s.
and the 40s.
let's see, well now Napoleon and Britannia, I would, well Carrollton too, I probably recognize the names, but I didn't know about that.
They did
That's
have
just from
some.
my memory.
They did have some from other denominations too that would help. I don't know about in those days.
Do you remember any of the names? You were saying this is your time, but that's all right.
Well, as a child, I remember when Mother mentioned Miss Lucy Smith.
Yes.
And then
And the ministers were.
oh yeah, then afterwards was Mrs. Ogden.
Ms. Ogden, yes, she was from Napoleon. And
She even had contact with them after I came in 1952. She'd come some, and I remember she taught some class in Sunday school training, you know, at one time on Sunday afternoon. And she had not a very direct contact at that time, but she was still interested, would participate at times.
do you remember any of the others from Britannia or Carrollton? I'm just interested in the names.
Let's see. I remember starting in the 30s. We had a Miss Reed, a Miss Meyer, and a Miss Brooks. They taught the men. I think Miss Brooks belonged to Napoleon.
Sounds like it. There were some Brookses in
Melissa
Napoleon.
Brooks was the name.
Melissa, yes, I knew her.
All right. Well, then she was from
She was from Napoleon.
Napoleon. All right. Miss Meyer, I am not sure. She may have been another denomination.
Well, there's some Myers in the Napoleon Church.
But I think she attended a church around Broad Street. I don't know why that sticks in my mind.
I remember the name Meyer.
Meyer and a Miss Reed. I did not know.
Reed,
R-E-D.
that one I don't recognize immediately. Did Mrs. Stone teach any during that period?
I don't remember Mrs. Stone teaching at that time.
She was on the committee later.
She was on the building committee.
She was secretary of the subcommittee, Presbytery subcommittee while I was on it, as I remember.
And I think she was secretary for a few years at least before I came.
Yes.
There are a few years lapsing from Mother's time to 1930 because we lived in California for about 6 years. And then we came back in 1929.
Now, did you go to California primarily that your children would learn some Chinese?
Yeah.
That was one
Is that right?
of the practices that
Yeah.
some people would want to maintain a Chinese language.
Yeah, that was the reason.
You were in San Francisco, were you?
Yeah.
And then, let's see, you had 4 sons, is that right? And 2 daughters? Yeah, and I think that they said that if you had had one more son, they would have been able to make a complete basketball team at the YMCA. And one of the first things that I heard when I came to New Orleans was Chinese basketball players.
Yes, they played with Eastern High School.
Oh, Eastern High. They were good players.
Oh, yeah, and Canal Church.
Yeah. Canal Church team.
Yeah.
Was it a team? Was it a team with the Canal Church?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's a good family.
What year would that have been about?
That would have been in the 30s.
Is that?
They would play, I recall, they played Third Presbyterian Church. It seemed like there were several Presbyterian churches with teams at that time.
I think they had a league, yes, a church league, well, they had that after I came. We never did play in it, but they had a church league and did play some basketball.
The Chinese were quite outstanding and meant a lot, I think, for the relationship being so good between Caucasians and the Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Sylvia would be too modest to say this, but I heard that she had the highest average in English that was ever made at Loyola.
Well, that was years and years ago. We won't go into that.
Well, we won't
We're talking about the
bring it
mission.
up today anyway.
No, but I do remember the teachers from Napoleon and Britannia. I think they impressed me most, simply because our classes were held on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes, well, I used to go down to Orleans Street sometimes, and that was on Sunday afternoons. But I'm hazy now. Did they do anything on Sunday mornings? They didn't have any.
No, there were no services.
No services on Sunday morning.
Mostly because the afternoon was more convenient. My first meeting was with Mrs. Thelma Garrison. She was teaching. She belongs to Napoleon.
Napoleon, yes. So I know her
She
well.
taught me in the primary class.
She did. Her husband, of course, half was Miss Lois's brother. And I haven't talked to Miss Thelma yet, but we're planning to talk to her
She's
too.
a fantastic lady. You know, I recall Mother taking me to the mission. There were times when I wasn't too enthusiastic about going because we would go to Canal. And then it was just 4 blocks away. So, but there were times when I didn't feel like going. But I do remember meeting Miss Thelma and Miss Lois and sitting around this little table and being shown the pretty pictures on the lesson stories and not responding too greatly because we had had it that morning. I remember expressing that at one time. And did you know these ladies, I never did see a duplicate lesson paper after that. You know, they got another one.
Yeah,
So, I mean, here was a little 5 or 6 year old kid, you know, who should have not had anything to say, but, you know, they were that interested in it.
Well, Thelma Garrison is, I think, a very sweet type of person.
Oh, she is. She still lives in the same house right there on Napoleon Avenue.
And then you had Mrs. Ford, who taught the junior class.
Now that was B. Ford.
Yes.
She was in Pretania Church, and of course I knew her. Matter of fact, I still correspond with her.
And then you had a group from Carrollton, the Smith sisters, Jane and Barbara Smith, and then you had the Wilkinson sisters. Mrs. Sanford is now, she's a member of Canal Church, but there were 3 sisters who were quite active. She would come every Sunday.
Was Elizabeth Moore from Carrollton
Yes.
also active?
Yes, she
And
was.
she later went
She went to
after
be a nurse, that's right. And you had a
She's
miss.
she's back now.
She is.
She's at Carroll.
The only other names I recall was Antoinette Spicer. I don't know what church she attended.
The name is familiar, but I don't remember it.
There's a Mary, I think her name was Mary Sinclair, who played the piano.
Gladys Sinclair. Mary
So,
Sinclair.
Maybe so.
Well, Gladys Sinclair was the organist and director out at Napoleon Church.
I see.
So I just associated that. Maybe this was somebody else.
No, weren't there several sisters? Or?
I don't know. I
see.
just knew Gladys.
She played for a few years after Mrs. Middlemas. Now, I don't know where Miss Middlemas. I think Miss G told me that she moved out to Los Angeles, but Miss Middlemas had been pianist for about 20 years. And then Miss Sinclair.
I believe there is a Mary Sinclair. I believe
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
think
That was Gladys' sister, and they retired and moved away.
I see.
They're no longer here.
And then right after Miss Sinclair, there was a Cleo Farmer. She played very well.
Mhm.
And then she may still be in the city. I don't know what church she attended.
Then did you come along there and start playing at that
No, it
time?
was Miss Chetta,
Oh,
Conchetta Quartararo Hit
yeah.
was playing.
Miss Henry hit now.
Henry Hit.
Quartararo.
But they belong to Third
Third
Presbyterian.
Church. Mike's sister.
Sister.
Okay, I know Mike. I don't know very many people over Third, but I do know Mike and Arthur Bader. Arthur Bader was over there too. We talked to him the other day. Let's see, he said he was superintendent of the Sunday school. How long was he
From
superintendent?
about 1927 to 37, I think.
I get it.
About a 10-year span. Then when did you start playing, Sylvia?
I
I'm
was
the mission.
Well, we were in the mission. I used to help out with the Sunday school. We had classes back in the old woodshed.
Oh, I've heard of
Junior
that.
classes would be in that area. And then upstairs we had another class. And then I would substitute whenever we didn't have a regular.
That would be in the 30s.
About
But you were still
about that
in
was in
high
high
school.
school. I guess it would be about the beginning of the 40s, late 39, 40. And then when Mrs. Chetta Quartararo married around, I would guess around 44, I started playing.
Other voices on the tape are Miss Sylvia Chinbang and the Reverend Dayton Castleman. Unfortunately, the second half of the tape is not understandable.
I know how that
We
works.
ended up one Sunday with no one no one to play. And I was just sitting there, and she says, "Sylvia, get up there and play. We want to sing." And I don't remember whether it was Mr. Bader or someone. He said, "Oh yes, come on." And of course, I tried to back out immediately. I said, "Well, I don't know how to play. I don't know any of the hymns." And he said, "Well, what do you know?" And I said, "Well, what a friend we have in Jesus. Good, we'll sing that." And then thereafter, Miss Lois was very encouraging.
I'm sure she was.
It was a blessing, I consider it. In fact, the whole influence of the mission has been a blessing to my life. And mostly the teachers, I think. This was a sort of a spontaneous joy I could tell. I often think of them. I think of the influence of them.
casual testimonial, you know, of what the mission.
Well, I don't want to take away from Canal Church because I remember Canal, but I remember attending Sunday school and had some wonderful teachers at Canal, but I guess a Sunday afternoon was a little more relaxed feeling, and I guess there was more communication between the teachers. I guess really I saw what I learned in Canal in action. I saw it in action in the afternoon with people who gave their time. Because I knew later on that these people had attended church in the morning. They were all busy working people, and they would give up their afternoons to come down and give up themselves.
Do you remember Miss Creevy at all?
I don't know.
No.
I came on the scene in the 30s.
Yeah.
I think Miss Creedy passed away when Mother was in California.
1926 or 7, I don't know.
We were in California.
We were in California.
What do you remember, Miss Chinthing, about Miss Creevy? Can you give us?
Oh, very nice friend. She was trying everything. I did everybody. And she was amazing. She's a lady mother upstairs on Alfred.
Didn't she do a lot of visiting too? Did she do some visiting in hospitals also?
She must be. Yes, because she used to be traveling before the hospital and visit patients.
I think they called her the flower lady.
Yes, oh yeah, that's right.
I heard that she would get the flowers from the Canal Street from the First Presbyterian Church, and on Monday she'd get some of the fellows in the mission that were living there, make little bouquets out of them and tie a verse of scripture on them, and then she would take them over there. And I think she got a lot of ladies to start hospital visitations back in those days. Very good volunteer service ahead of her day.
When I was sick, I have to get my geography straight. Liberty Street was not too far from Charity Hospital either, was it?
No.
And of course Roman is pretty close. So she wouldn't have too far to go to get to the Charity Hospital.
Where she operated out of the Liberty Street
Yes.
building.
Because in those days, I think everyone walked.
Yes.
Everything was in a radius, right in town. And the Chinese stores were conveniently located in that area, roughly bounded by.
Would Tulane have been one